But again, I think the biggest thing is passion, right? And you can walk up to someone and say, listen, I am lacking the experience, but I am beyond passionate about this. And this is my dream job. I would die to work for you guys. Will you give me an opportunity to interview? Right. That kind of raw passion translates. And this is not a transactional environment, right? This is not like you don't need to be overly professional. You can, be a human and be yourself. And that's another thing that I love about Web3 is you can just be unapologetically you. You know what I mean? Like I am Emily Landon and I am the same person every single day. I'm happy, I'm bubbly, I'm excited, right? And I'm a little quirky. Sometimes I make bad jokes. And I still feel welcomed by the community, right? And I think that's another thing that people should know is like it's a good place to be yourself. You don't have to have red tape. You don't have to be political. Just be you.
Welcome to the Dissect podcast.
Welcome everybody to another dissect podcast episode. I'm rture, and in this episode I have Emily, the crypto recruiter, as a guest. She is from the Crypto Recruiters, and they actually are very good at finding jobs for people in the space and help a lot of companies get their jobs filled. And that's the topic of this episode. We're going to chat about how you can find a job in crypto. Hey, Emily, how are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Doing good. And maybe some background on how I met you. I met you at Eat Denver, and we had a great chat about how you can improve your own visibility in the space and get basically a job or like have a social profile to have others find you. But maybe wind back a little bit. How did you end up in crypto and crypto recruiting, and what drew you to crypto?
Yeah, so I was in financial services recruiting. So I recruited for big banks and credit card companies. And I didn't really like the community. I felt that a lot of people in TradFi and financial services are crab apples. So like I would call them and they would not be nice to me on the phone. My fiance actually accepted a job in crypto. And I loved the people that worked at his company. We got to know each other very well. And I realized that I loved the people in Web3, right? And recruiting is all about the people. That's what I do for a day job is I just talk to people and I network all day. So it was extremely refreshing. And then I learned more about the technology behind it. And that's really what like pushed me forward was really thinking that this is the future and this is how, the world is going to function going forward. I was really passionate about I am really passionate about ethics. My last recruiting company, we did practices that were, just not great and they weren't in people's best interests. It wasn't in the best interest of my client. It wasn't in the best interest of my candidate. And it's a kind of a funny story. So I actually lost 80 pounds because I was so anxious and uncomfortable and felt so guilty for the work that I was doing. Don't worry. We put it all back on. We're fine. I wish it would go back again, but once I left that company and I could really, work with the kind of people that I wanted to work with and the kind of companies that I wanted to work with, things got a lot better for me. I'm not afraid to say no to a client and I'm also not afraid to fire one. It's my candidates are really the most important, right? They're my bread and butter. And I got to make sure these people are happy. I've got to make sure I'm helping someone find their dream job, not just any job. So, love the technology, really love the people. That's what got me started.
That's awesome. And especially we're going to talk a little bit later about like the anonymous culture, but maybe you could explain a little bit what you like about the crypto culture and how it differs from the traditional banking culture.
Yeah. So I like how collaborative people are and how willing they are to help, right? So I get to talk with some incredible leaders that are just down to have conversations, right? They're very busy, but they're open to talking and giving advice and telling their story. I think that people in crypto are a lot nicer than people in financial services. And they're also more humble, right? So I feel like people in crypto understand and appreciate that we're not experts and we're still early and there's still something to learn, right? Another thing that's different is, doing your own research, right? DYOR. There's not a ton of that in TradFi and financial services, but in crypto, I mean, shoot, I spend like 3 hours a day just researching, right? When I'm, 1 o'clock in the morning down the rabbit hole, just reading. So I think, education is something that's really different within this space. Personalities are different and motivation is different, right? We're all looking to push this industry forward. Where in TradFi, it's more, make as much money as you can.
Yeah, and personally, I think people in crypto understand that like everything is a network, and the
Mhm.
more connections you make, the more valuable you are. But you also have to value those connections. So
Yeah.
you have to bring something to the table, and if you're not really bring something to the table, there's always people who want to tell their story. So if you're a good listener or a good learner, I think you are valuable already. And yeah, I think others notice that too, and others want to take you on that learning path because maybe 1 or 2 years back they weren't even involved in the space either, and they had to go through that learning process themselves.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that openness helps push the space forward, but also helps that network. And you probably see a lot of people who just entered the space and are looking for a job. What are those first steps then that they go through, and or what steps can you recommend to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you're brand new, you've never worked in crypto. The first thing you need to do is start to get your name out there, right? You need to start by editing your LinkedIn profile, making sure you've got, the keywords on it, but not too many keywords, right? I've got some hiring managers that are like, we see too many keywords, that's a red flag. But at the same time, you want to have a healthy amount in there because the back end of LinkedIn, if I'm doing a search, it's whoever has the most of the same keyword, they come up first. So I would say optimize your LinkedIn profile, because if you're reaching out to people to network and you don't have a quality, educational LinkedIn profile, they're not going to connect with you. You're just spinning your wheels, right? So the first thing is branding. You got to make it clear that you're passionate about crypto, you're knowledgeable about crypto. If you have time, and listen, I know free labor isn't everybody's favorite activity, but if you have time to volunteer somewhere and gain a little bit of experience, right, that's going to open a plethora of doors for you. I think you get out of the universe what you put into it. So if you put in good work, good jobs are going to come your way. So I would say LinkedIn branding, then work on networking. The easiest way to network is go on LinkedIn, type in the search bar the word crypto, press enter, filter by people, and then filter by second and third degree connections. And then filter by location to wherever you're located and send connections down the list saying, hey, I see we're both in crypto in Chicago. I'd love to connect. That is the easiest way to build your network because you have a molecule of rapport, right? You live in the same area. So start there and in your location and then build out globally, right? But you can do light keyword searches on LinkedIn in that search bar, but you have to have LinkedIn Premium. I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn Premium. I think it's a game changer. It allows you to send out emails. It allows you to have an open profile. It allows you to see more profiles. I know a lot of people don't see the value in LinkedIn or paying, $70 a month for a social media network or a social media platform. But if you're looking for a job, it's really a great place to be.
That's a good tip. And actually, I've been neglecting my LinkedIn for years now, basically since I went full time crypto. But I'm starting to see the value of it. But I fully can echo your words about putting some work out there and getting involved with communities or with projects, even if you're not directly getting something back, because that's how I got like gigs and jobs,
Yeah.
because they saw my skill and because they don't understood that I could apply that skill to their project and already saw some proof. That's how they, involve me. Or they saw proof I worked on another project, and now they want that skill set for theirs. So yeah, building that profile is super important. And for me, that was like a Twitter, like a Medium, writing some articles, but also just some bigger or smaller Discord groups where others can see what you do. And I manage well without the LinkedIn, but like I can definitely understand that LinkedIn is becoming more and more important, especially since this space is growing and there's more people and more channels that can be used to find you.
Yeah.
So I think that building in public is super important for showing your skill and knowledge, and I can also understand it's super scary. Um, how can that public content help you land these jobs, and how would you structure that?
Yeah, so content, I mean, it brings more attention to you, right? It positions yourself as an expert. And then if you're posting on LinkedIn, right, more people are going to see that post, more people are going to be intrigued by it, they're going to reach out. So I think creating content is key, specifically on Twitter and Farcaster. That's where most of the community is, but LinkedIn, I mean, me, I'm getting anywhere between 30,000 to 100,000 impressions on my posts, right? And that means, and this is kind of crazy. I called my dad the other day because I hit 40,000 followers, and I was like, Dad, 40,000 people know my name. How crazy is that, right? It's actually more because we have a network of over 150,000 people, but like that was crazy. And how I did it was by posting content. That's literally it. And it's got to be educational. It's got to be helpful. It can't just be like, having a great day. Here's a picture of me. You got to bring value to the team or to the network and position yourself as an expert, right? Companies want to hire people that are passionate about crypto, right? Creating content is one way to show your passion. And, passion pushes us forward, right? If you're not passionate about a topic, you're not going to spend those 3 hours a day researching it, right? You're not going to want to spend your weekends working on work, right? So yeah, I think content is key.
Yeah, and I think then, like, if people see that good content, they will share it around. So it's
Mhm.
more of a passive network that you then activate, and people will reach out to you. Of course, there will be critique, so that's what you have to prepare yourself for. But if you weight like the positive comments or the feedback to your work correctly, then you can only improve from that.
You know what's
So
funny?
yeah.
I have never had a public troll. Like I've gotten like really mean DMs sometimes. So there was this one guy, I don't even want to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. There's this one guy and I had messaged him. He didn't respond to me for a month. Totally cool. Happens. Right. He messages me back. I didn't respond for 2 days. And he says, "You're just another stupid LinkedIn influencer that no one's going to remember." What's hilarious is he had just started a job. I know his boss. So it took like all of my strength to not reach out and say like, "Hey, by the way, your new employee is still looking for a job and here's how he treats people." And I think that, the way you treat people is so critical, especially recruiters, because we're taking that information in because that's how you could treat your future employees or your future colleagues, right? That's how you could treat the cleaning lady of the office. But I've never had someone like troll me on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter. I don't know if I just got lucky or if people know that I'm just really nice and it would make me cry. But I think for the most part, there's a lot of really nice people on LinkedIn that are going to leave positive and supportive comments. I haven't seen a lot of, okay, that's a lie. I have seen some people that are like super spicy, that clap back, that, say some rude things on LinkedIn. I'll see troll like comments on their posts, but that's because they're building a network in a negative way, right? Where I'm always preaching, positivity and having fun and enjoying the ride, right? Even though job hunting is not fun, it's the opposite of fun, right? It's emotional, it's stressful, it can be depressing, right? Demotivating. But I think with the right recruiter and the right experience, I think job hunting can be fun. And I think people need to switch their mindsets from, oh, I interviewed, I didn't get the job, from, oh, I interviewed and look at these amazing people that I met. Right now, you have those people in your network, even though they didn't select you for the job. You never know what's going to happen, and you never is that person going to move to a new company? Could they hire you then? Right? Could they introduce you to someone? So I think, having a positive mentality and spreading that on LinkedIn has really led to like people not being mean to me, at least publicly. DM's a little different, but publicly they're all pretty nice.
Yeah, and I know from Twitter, some people have their brand around like just providing critique and like criticizing everything, even though it's in a lot of cases not true. But I think in a lot of cases that doesn't really work when you're trying to cooperate with people.
No.
So like feedback is fine, critique is fine, but do a good suggestion and start to improve this space a little bit more. So about that networking, you already talked about like the LinkedIn strategy of finding people around you. How do you see conferences and maybe hackathons into this picture?
Oh my God, so important. So important. So when we were at ETH Denver, I don't know if you remember, but I had my dog with me, and I picked up first day 3 new clients specifically because they stopped to pet my dog. And then I went to a couple after parties, ran into some fabulous people. We ended up going to more after parties, and I just signed them on as a client. It's a huge VC company. So I think conferences are critical, but you've got to be outgoing. You've got to be comfortable walking up to people, having conversations. I think interviewing and networking, it's kind of about pitching yourself. Right. So you need to come up with a quote unquote sales pitch, a 30-second elevator pitch about who you are and why they should know you. Right? I think that's something that we also need to take into consideration is you're trying to network with that person, so are 500 other people. Right? So why should they take 15 minutes of their time to speak with you? And that's where you've got to bring value. I will tell you that, flattery will get you everywhere. Right? If you start by looking at, what I do sometimes is I'll look at a company on LinkedIn. I'll then Google them, see if they've had any recent news, and then I'll talk to the company and say, "Hey, congratulations on your most recent raise," or "I loved seeing you, in this article in Forbes," or "Wow, your Glassdoor reviews are fantastic." Right. So always starting with a compliment is good, and then following up with, your intentions. But I think the key to success is don't make it about you, make it about them. Right? Because if your message is all about me, 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 that's what everybody's doing. And it's honestly like it's exhausting to have so many people reaching out to you. And it's just like, I want this, I need this. And it's like, well, what about the hiring manager? What about what they need? So when you're reaching out specifically about a job, I would say something along the lines of, "Hey, saw your most recent article. Really cool to see you guys in the news. Do you think my experience with X, Y, and Z would bring value to your team? I noticed that you were hiring and wanted to see if if you think my experience would be the right fit." Right. But again, you're saying, do you think I'd be a fit for your team? Right. You're showing where you bring value before you ask for their time. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think if you go to these conferences, like at first it can be a little bit daunting, like stepping up to somebody. But once you realize that everybody is there to connect to new people and are open to speak to you, and sometimes you just see people coming to you, you get in that mindset too. And I started to like that a lot. Although maybe from like years back, I wouldn't even call me an extrovert. I think I'm still an introvert who learned how to be extrovert, which I think everybody says nowadays. But that's maybe still true for
A
me.
lot of people do say that. It's funny that you bring that up, but my biggest secret is I'm also an introvert. Like after work, I am so quiet, it drives my fiance nuts. He's like, "How's your day?" And I was like, "Great." It's like, do you want to talk about it more? I'm like, no, no, I do not. I've been talking all day. So, when I go to conferences, it takes me a second to really warm up and get into that groove. So if you are going to go to a conference, go a couple days early, because there's always side events to like get you warmed up. And then when the conference starts, you'll feel confident. You'll, already have a couple connections, and yeah.
Absolutely, it's a skill you have to warm up, but also can train over time how to tackle that. And
Yep.
you'll make some mistakes. Not every intro is valuable. Sometimes you're talking to somebody and you're like, well, this isn't my person to talk to. You
Yeah.
just close the conversation respectfully. There's nothing missed there. um, let's talk about skills, because crypto, there's a lot of roles. It's often very dev focused. Like, what skills are needed to succeed in crypto? And like, if you're starting new and trying to develop new skills, where would you like, with which skills would you basically start with? And it doesn't have to be dev work. Maybe it's also interesting to, if you're not a developer, which skills would be interesting for you?
I would say for everybody, let's talk about everybody. It's you got to start with that passion and the knowledge, right? Companies don't have time to ramp you up on crypto. And some people, I'm not like, crapping at anybody, but they have a hard time, understanding blockchain. It doesn't make sense to them. So companies are really looking for crypto natives. Those are extremely passionate, right? Are very knowledgeable, have done some side projects. So I would say that's the first skill you need, some knowledge. The second skill you need is you need to be very fast paced. So it's more of like a soft skill. Got to be fast paced. All of these companies are looking for fast paced candidates that come from fast paced startups. Again, like, these companies are moving so quickly. They don't have time to hire, they don't want to hire someone from an enterprise that historically moves slow and there's a lot of red tape. They need someone that can come in, excuse my language, and get shit done. When it comes to skills, it varies between position to position, right? For devs, it could be Solidity, it could be Elixir. For community managers, it could be Discord, right? So, but again, I think the biggest thing is passion, right? And you can walk up to someone and say, listen, I am lacking the experience, but I am beyond passionate about this, and this is my dream job. I would die to work for you guys. Will you give me an opportunity to interview? Right? That kind of raw passion translates. And this is not a transactional environment, right? This is not like, you don't need to be overly professional. You can, be a human and be yourself. And that's another thing that I love about Web3 is you can just be unapologetically you. You know what I mean? Like, I am Emily Landon, and I am the same person every single day. I'm happy, I'm bubbly, I'm excited, right? And I'm a little quirky. Sometimes I make bad jokes. And I still feel welcomed by the community, right? And I think that's another thing that people should know is like, it's a good place to be yourself. You don't have to have red tape. You don't have to be political. Just be you.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Like, if one community doesn't fit you or accept you, there are a lot of other ones that might, and you can just move to another one. I think one of the best things in crypto, in my opinion, is you can pick your own colleagues.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's basically what I like. So one of my experiences is that if you see all these job listing sites, I would like write to those. I would write another cover letter, and you hear me basically being tired saying this already.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good experience, to be honest.
Right.
And what I did eventually was just directly talk to the team and to the founder, and just send them a DM like, listen, these are the skills I have. Here's some proof from online. You want to chat? And basically, that works better. I'm not
Yeah.
saying just DM every founder out there, because
No.
they'll see if you're a fit or not. Like, I
Yeah.
only did that when I really saw a fit for in like culture, in skills. So what's your opinion on like job sites? Because I know like some even list how many people respond, and it's sometimes above like hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
which, well, some companies don't even respond after you've spent an hour writing a cover letter.
Yep.
So the reality of that is everybody starts putting them into ChatGPT, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do it any good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what's your opinion on like the classical job listing website and then just writing to that?
Yeah. So when looking at job websites, click on companies and see how much they're charging, right? If it's a free job board, it's probably not the highest quality of companies, right? So if a company is not willing to invest in the recruiting process, that's a red flag for me. So also think of it like this. If a company is paying $500 a month to post a job, they're probably serious about hiring, right? So always look at how much the job board is charging because that will gauge how serious the company is about finding the right person. It also could be a hint about, their financial stability. Even though 500 bucks is a drop in the bucket, right? So I would start there, evaluate that. And yeah, I think reaching out is critical. When it comes to your resume or CV, have a skills section where you can interchange keywords, right? So have a little graph. Don't make it look like a graph, make it look like bullet points, but have a graph and then just interchange those keywords, right? If it's looking for someone with EVM experience and you don't have that on your resume, let's put that in the skills section. That way you'll beat the ATS. You don't want to get the problem is if you're missing one keyword, the ATS throws your resume out. You don't even get to a hiring manager. So you've got to make sure those required skills are in your resume, and it takes 5 seconds to update the skills section, right? Don't need to save it as a PDF. Keep saving it as the same document and then send it on over to the applicant. Or to the job site. I apologize. I think there's a lot of job pages that aggregate data. So they'll pull from like different sources, which is great because it lets you know that there's, more open jobs, but not great because some of these sites are just total BS. So when you're applying to a job on any site but LinkedIn, go in thinking you're not going to get a response because you're applying to the job. 500 other people are applying. You know what? Let me do some math really quickly so this makes sense. So if everybody's applying to a job, let's say I'll even lower it. We've got 100 applications, right? And a hiring manager is spending 30 seconds on each application, right? That's all the time they have because they've got 100 to go through. So 100 times 30 seconds is 3,000 seconds. Divide that by 60. That is 50. That's an hour, right? I think math is hard, but it's an hour to go through 100 applications, right? So multiply that by 5, that's 5 hours. And like the recruiter, HR coordinator, hiring manager, they still have to go through their day-to-day job, right? So now we've got the application review. Now we've got to respond to all the DMs we've gotten, right? And people aren't just hitting people up on LinkedIn. You should find them on Twitter, find them on Discord, put their Twitter handle into Telegram, message them there, right? So a lot of different ways to attract their attention. But again, you've got to bring that value. Why are you a fit for the job, right? And phrasing it where, it's in their hands. It's more about like, here's the benefit that I bring to you, not, hey, will you give me 15 minutes of your time, right? You've got to bring value before you give the ask. So definitely utilize job boards. My favorite is crypto-careers.com. There's also Rethinkable, which I'm an advisor for them. I love that platform. And then LinkedIn is my absolute favorite. But here's how LinkedIn works. So you post a job, you get applications steadily, and you can accept or reject an application. Now, the problem is that in order to reject an application, you have to do it one by one and send that rejection letter one by one. I'm getting 500 plus applications, right? I can't send a rejection letter to everybody. So when you close the job, you have an option to send a rejection letter to everybody. But the problem is that there's some people in that job post that you're still interviewing. So if you send a rejection letter, they're going to get it, right? So a lot of companies don't send rejection letters for 2 reasons. One, it's hard to get it out to every person, and 2, it's for discrimination purposes, right? So if you tell someone you don't have enough experience, they could say, "Oh, you're being ageist." right? If you tell someone that, hey, we're trying to hire in the US, that's location discrimination, right? So companies sometimes don't get feedback because they don't want to deal with that, right? Anybody could claim discrimination on pretty much anything. So that's why you're not getting feedback on your profiles, on your resume, on your interview, because the companies don't want to be sued.
That's interesting for sure. And I think if you go the DM route, like I just suggested, you at least get some feedback because you're not part of that application process.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, we don't have an option, but try to work on this. And that's also just much more personal in that aspect. So regarding that worldwide culture, do like companies have preferences for remote work or having people in the same country? And what's your idea on that? Because in my opinion, crypto will always be worldwide, and it can be beneficial to have like different employees in different time zones, maybe to cover different conferences, to cover like the whole 24-hour crypto is active, but there might be other opinions or things at play here.
I think it's a great idea to have a global team, because when your team is global and covering every time zone, there's always someone online working to hit company goals, right? There's always someone online. It's a 24/7 business, right? A lot of my clients want people in the same time zone because that way there's more collaboration, right? From Chicago to Hong Kong, I think it's a 13-hour time difference. I think it's a 23-hour, maybe 21-hour time difference to Australia, right? That's a whole day that we're missing, right? So I do think time zone can be important. um it is important to a lot of companies. I don't think we're there yet where these teams are big enough that they've got multiple people in each time zone. Right now it's just one person, and then there's a huge delay, which also means that people are getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for meetings, right? um I think that it's I am noticing companies are going back into the office. Um I don't think that's not my favorite thing in the world. When companies go back into the office. One, I will never go back into the office. I am fully remote. My team will stay fully remote. And for a multitude of reasons, right? You're eliminating commute time. You're eliminating, distractions from in the office, right? I think when you are remote, it gives more work life balance and allows you to have more flexibility to work when you are most productive, right? There's some people that are super productive in the morning. There's some people they flourish in the afternoon. There's some people where their heads down at night, just going at it, right? So I prefer a remote environment, but I would say about 40% of my companies, 30% are starting to go back in office, which makes recruiting 10 times more difficult, because now I'm not looking for the best candidate in the world, right? Which opens the talent pool tenfold. I'm looking for the best candidate in that specific area. So they're really limiting themselves to the quality of candidate they can find. Um, Also, they're not paying more to go into the office. They're paying the same as remote work. And I think a lot of people are I think there's some people that are excited about like a hybrid work environment so they can get back and be with their colleagues. And I do think there is, a buzz in the office when you've got everybody on site. But I would say most people are looking for remote roles. It's a hard pitch to get someone to come into an office full time. And I've got 7 full time in office jobs right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I specifically like about crypto, not traveling to work. And also, there is an element of, well, because you say there is not a salary difference between remote work and in
Yeah.
office work. There
Hmm.
can be either from like the company point of view, maybe some salary arbitrage, or you as an employee can get better pay because you're basically working for a company that's, well, of course, first of all, in a highly special sector, crypto, which requires specific skill and it's high in demand, but also because it's in a different country where maybe on average the wages are higher.
Hmm.
Um, what's your view on how companies should either like do that, like arbitrage for those wages, or how people should negotiate that if they're in such a position where they see like, hey, I'm actually getting less because I'm located elsewhere.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Because, a company is always looking for the best person at the best rate, right? They're not necessarily trying to save money, but if they can with an even better person, amazing, right? Great for them. I have the personal belief that if you are, let's just say US, because US salaries tend to be higher. If you're based in the US, you got a team in the US, you're still hiring internationally, you should extend those US salaries. It doesn't matter where the person is located, right? Um, I think being compensated monetarily, especially because this industry is 24/7, is very important. And just because someone lives in Nigeria doesn't mean they're worth less than someone that's based in the US. You know what I mean? So I don't see it as a cost saving opportunity. I see it as an employee value opportunity. And I also think like if you hire someone out of Nigeria and give them the same salary that they would get in the US, like that is life changing for them. Like, and there's a sense of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, there's no better feeling than giving someone an opportunity to change their life, right? There just is no better feeling. And I think when you change your employees' lives, there's a aspect of loyalty that comes with it and also positivity, right? So your employees are an extension of your brand. You don't want someone that's super bitter or upset or, is disgruntled because they're going to go out and tell people, oh, company A sucks. Like I hated working there. Right. And these people that they're talking to could be future users. And there's this saying, if you have a good experience, you're going to tell 1 to 2 people. If you have a bad experience, you're going to tell 10. So I'm just under the belief of like, take care of your people. Just take care of your people. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where they're located. If you have the budget for this, pay someone for their expertise and you will get more loyalty than you would doing anything else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and that makes, I think, a better work environment for everybody, because you also know that everybody in the company is getting the pay that is sufficient for a job. So there's like, that's one of the worst things, even like in traditional companies, where like same functions get paid differently, and then they find out.
Exactly. And
Oh,
it's such a
that's
problem. I
yeah,
just had
yeah.
this happen. I was just talking to a candidate who was hired at a job for $90,000, based in Chicago. And then there was a girl that had less experience based in New York, and they hired her on for 110. So this girl that was at 90 was so upset and she felt unvalued. You know what I mean? And I think you have to make your employees feel valued, and not only monetarily, but emotionally. You've got to figure out what motivates them and make sure you provide that to them if they're doing a good job, right?
Yeah, and even if that pay isn't equal, or somebody is like isn't driven too much by that wage, but yeah, it's still like a number you attach to how do people value me. So it might
Mhm.
not be actually the money, but more like reputation wise, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that might be different is that if you are basically, if you work from outside of that country, you have to take care of like some taxes yourself, so you need to
Yeah.
be prepared for that. So I
Mhm.
think sometimes it's also good looking out for those conditions in the contract. But to be honest, a company does take that into account already for the people in their current country.
Right.
So yeah, why not at least give you some reimbursement for if you have to like hire some legal advisors or some tax advisors on that. How have you seen that happen? Where I think I've seen that like a few times in these job descriptions. Like, how common is that you get some reimbursement for um, basically costs you have that are that you have because you're working outside of your own country as like a freelancer, even though you have like a full-time position at a company?
I don't see it a lot with my clients. Most of my clients just leave that to the candidate, right? Maybe they'll compensate them a little bit more to offset taxes if they're putting them on like a contractor agreement or a freelance agreement. But I mean, in the US, 1099 is super common with crypto companies, right? For a couple reasons. Um, One, we deal with a lot of untenured founders, right? That don't necessarily understand how to have like a full-time W-2 employee, right? And that's a process to go through. You've got to get benefits, you got to pay unemployment, like it's a whole thing, right? And they don't necessarily have time to implement that, and it's a lot easier and more cost effective to have a 1099 contractor. You actually get a tax break for 1099 contractors. But the downside when it comes to contractors is you walk a very fine line about what you can ask them to do. So, like, as a contractor, you can't require them to come to like a daily stand up, right? Because they're able to work on their own time as long as they're completing projects. I think a lot, I wanted to go back to this. A lot of people are hiring within their own company because they understand the taxes and the hiring processes and the hiring laws in that specific country. Whereas if they're moving to something else, they're just totally unfamiliar, right? So it's almost easier to hire in your same country for some founders. So I've noticed that the bigger companies, they hire more internationally, the more established companies, but like these small startups, they usually want people in the same time zone, same area. And it's also for on-site and off-site stuff, right? Like if you have an off-site, in California and you've got people in, London, that's a pretty penny for a plane ticket. You know what I mean? Whereas you're flying from someone from Arizona to California, that's what, $300? So I think that's something that's also played in consideration. And offsites are becoming super popular. I love when my clients have offsites because it's great for building rapport. It's a lot of fun. It's like a little mini vacation, but with your colleagues.
I think that's one of the big benefits if you are being hired by a team that's not in the same country. So
Yep.
you can go on those offsites. But yeah, it's absolutely needed to either like you can even combine that with conferences and then have a few days off with the team. So I think it can also, even if it's super costly, can be productive, and at least you can see everybody in person. So yeah, I've done that with like the DAO and like with teams I've worked with. It's great to finally meet somebody in person if you've talked to them for like months or even years on a Discord or on a Google Meet. So absolutely. And I think that brings us to the question, like, what do you think about the anonymous culture and maybe even inclusion? Because one of the benefits in crypto is that you can be anonymous, and that makes it that you can be accepted of because of your work, and that I think can be super inclusive. But the downside of that is that you might not be super responsible for what you do. How does that look from your perspective? Like, of course, you work a lot with resumes and you actually see the people you
Yeah.
work with. Like, how do people break that anonymity? And when should they? In what circumstances?
Yeah, I'm starting to notice a lot less anonymity in the space. I'm seeing more, public profiles, more people getting their name out there. I mean, genuinely, I'm seeing a lot less of it. I think that being anonymous makes my life very difficult. So if you are not interested in exploring new opportunities or growing within your career or meeting high profile people, absolutely stay anonymous, right? And it's also a safety concern. I work with clients that are anonymous. I work with a company right now. One of their names is Joe Mama, and the other name is, I think it's like Mizzy Bear. And these are interesting names, right? They're memorable. We Zoom call, no camera on. I think it's just I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I can appreciate it for the industry, but I think when it comes to like job hunting, it makes things a little more tough. because companies are looking for, they want information, right? They want to know, what did you do? Where are you from? What companies have you worked at, right? And if you're like totally anonymous, but there's another resume that's similar to you that's not anonymous, it's easier to reach out to the one that's not anonymous, right? And as a hiring manager, again, 500 applications, 300 DMs, right? Day-to-day work still have to get done. They're going to pick the easier option, right? That's just human in general, right? We don't purposely take the really challenging option. We go with what's quote unquote closest to the money, right? Closest to success. And so I just think that people are moving very, very fast in recruiting and finding, the right candidate. So the more information you can give, the better.
Yeah, and I think like I make the distinction to have uh like a profile picture with like an alter ego, which is also super recognizable online. But when I start working with people, it's always like webcam is on. It's also great for just having a personal connection with people. So
Yeah.
it's fine to make that distinction in some cases, in my opinion. And in some cases, it's also super fun to work from like an alter ego. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you haven't work with a company, do projects, I actually like if people just turn on the webcam, and I've seen that more and more, that people are
Mhm.
especially if you're the first one to just come in a call, have your webcam on, they're super willing to do that too. It's good to connect that way, like, hey, where are you now, like what's happening near you, like in your country. It's great to stay up to date with the world, basically. I think that might be like all the topics I want to discuss with you. But maybe you have some final words of wisdom or encouragement for job seekers.
Yeah. My first piece of advice is don't give up. Don't give up on crypto. I know it's been a tough couple of years, but don't give up, because when you leave this industry, there's always a question from hiring managers, which is like, why did he leave, or why did she leave? Right? Is she truly passionate about this space? So don't give up, and always stay hopeful. Don't expect a response, hope for a response. But again, the community right now, you press one button and you apply to the job, right? You've got to do the extra work. You've got to reach out. You've got to bring value. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to take that extra step. Think about it. If you're in a job and you have to get something done, you don't just send it to the person to get it done. You follow up. Hey, how's the project going? Hey, are we on timeline? Right. Blah, 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 blah. Got to do the same thing in your job hunt. Got to reach out. You got to stay connected, right? It's a little signal. I'm all about little signals. And if you put effort into your job hunt, the signal is, oh, wow, right? Emily puts all this effort into, reaching out to us. Imagine what she's going to do when she actually works for us, right? It's a signal. So, yeah, always be reaching out, always take the next step and organize it, right? Save the companies in a Google Excel sheet about, where did you apply? When did you apply? Who did you reach out to? And listen, I know this sounds like a pain in the butt. This is what I do for a living. If anybody gets it, I do, but I promise it will bring you results.
That's some good advice. And maybe let's flip it. Like, what would you want to see from companies who are hiring? How can they act better in the process?
Yeah. Don't throw a resume out just because the person has had short stints. It's crypto, guys. Like, things happen. I think you should, really consider candidates that are a strong culture fit, and hire slow, fire fast. Right? Make sure you're hiring the right person, because when you hire the wrong person, it has a huge effect on your team. It actually costs double to replace that person, because you've got opportunity lost. You're putting more pressure on the rest of your team. They're going to burn out, right? That causes more vacation days. It's a whole long thing. So make sure you're hiring the right person. And my last piece of advice would be, work with me, because I'll help you hire the right person the first time.
That's some good advice. So, how can people find you? That's, I
Yeah.
think, important. How do they reach out to you or the crypto recruiters?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am super easy to find on LinkedIn. My name is Emily Landon, but if you type in crypto recruiter, I'll pop right up. My email's on my LinkedIn. You can add me on Telegram. I know this is very original, but my Telegram is at the crypto recruiter, Instagram at the crypto recruiter, Twitter Emily Crypto Jobs. So I'm all over. So feel free to reach out, DM me if you're hiring. I'd love to chat. If you're looking for a job, let me see where I can bring value. And also, just a quick slide note in here, if you need help with your resume, that's my jam. We offer a resume auditing service, so I can help you set yourself up for success. Because it's all about appearance, right? Appearance is reality. That's something I've been taught since I was a little girl. It's when someone looks at your resume, what do they think? What do they feel? So we've got to make sure we're presenting ourselves in the best light.
That's an awesome service. I might even have to send my CV myself.
Let's do it.
Uh, um, yeah. Hopefully, you can get some listeners placed at the right companies, and hopefully get these companies the right fit for their team. Thank you, Emily, for coming on the podcast. Speak to you later.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Deus Ex Dao podcast, a place where some of the most progressive and innovative builders, thought leaders, and traders in the crypto space come together to discuss all areas of the crypto industry. Whether you're into DeFi, Layer 1s, Layer 2s, NFTs, or anything in between, we've got you covered. And as a reminder, nothing said on this podcast should be construed as financial advice or as a solicitation to buy or sell any digital asset or security. The comments, views, and opinions expressed by the hosts or guests on the podcast are their own. As always, you'll need to do your own research.